Hello, friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Before we take you to your favorite Sports History Network show, just want to tell you a little bit about some merch that you can pick up that represents your favorite SHN podcast. So far, there's t-shirts, coffee mugs, and even books from some of the authors that do podcasts right here on SHN. Who could buy something better than that, than have the history right from the gentleman that you hear talking about it? But we also are adding things each and every day. And where's that store, may you ask? Well, it's at SportsHistoryNetwork.com. Up at the top, there is the SHN merch button. Click on that. It'll take you right to the store, and you can be representing your favorite podcast and show the world that, hey, on the swag that I'm using, it's the headquarters of sports yesteryear, Sports History Network, and my favorite podcaster, the Sports History Network store. Shop there today. You know, I have a great time talking about football history each and every day with you and sharing so many great memories that sometimes I get caught up in it and I sit there and I think about some of these anniversaries of these great games. Well, we're coming upon October 18th. And October 18th, 1924, there was an epic football game that took place. And I can only sit back and think about what it must have been like to be back in that era and to listen to one of these great vintage football games on the radio. So I'm going to take you inside the imagination of one Oz Davis and myself and our interpretation of what it must sound like.
Welcome, football fans of all ages, to play-by-play description of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus the West Point Cadets by me, Freddie Carson, direct from Polo Grounds, via the URP radio network, via WNEW, right here in good old Gotham town. We're a good 30 minutes away from the start of play here at the grounds, but the pageantry has already begun. More than 5 dozen players have suited up for the Irish today, and all 60 strong are running drills as though participating in one of the opposition's boot camps. This is quite the sight to witness, ladies and gentlemen, as multiple punters and kickers are booming balls back and forth near each sideline at the Irish end, whilst in the center of the field the offense platoons are throwing passes and conducting blocking drills. An impressive display of regimentation being displayed by Coach Newt Rockney's squadron. And here come the 1,400 cadets to back their teams here today. All are outfitted in their dress grays, in military formation to their seats. Though it should be pointed out that this particular crowd will have scarce little use for such comforts in a thriller such as this promises to be.
That's right, October 18th, 1924 Polo Ground crowd. You're about to hear
the roar of the crowd. This is a presentation from which those great moments in sports history are revived. Come listen to the roar of the crowd presented by Pigpen Sports.
Hello, my football friends. This is Darren Hayes of PigskinDispatch.com. Welcome once again to the Pigpen, your portal to positive football history. And you guessed it, in celebration of the anniversary of the October 18th, 1924 game, we are going to talk about this was one of the greatest games ever played, with an undefeated Notre Dame team of Newt Rockney going to New York City to the Polo Grounds to face a very tough and undefeated Army squad. And this is really quite a game that really set a precedence for what was going to happen in college football for times to come. First of all, you had more press coverage than ever before. Part of it was in the Big Apple. People were taking interest to it. You had folks from alumni from Notre Dame and from the Midwest that had traveled to New York City on business, because business was starting to thrive a little bit in the 1920s, and they were putting, in good words about their alma mater coming to town and how powerful they were. And Notre Dame definitely had a very good team coming up. And also, little beknownst by many, Newt Rockney hired a New York Times reporter to cover the game so that he would get some positive press for his 11 also. So you had all of this happening. Army was a very popular team, a very good team at the time. Notre Dame's a very good team, growing in popularity. You have these two great forces of nature meeting on the gridiron football field. And then you had a record crowd at the Polo Grounds of over 60,000 people were there to witness such an exceptional game. Now, you heard at the intro we had a little excerpt from our number 80s production team. That's with Oz Davis and myself who put together. And it's our audio drama, Orville Mulligan, sports writer, from segments from one of the episodes titled The Four Horsemen, which, by the way, I'm going to drop into the feed, the full episode, into today's feed of Pigskin Dispatch. So wherever you find your favorite podcasters and you have Pigskin Dispatch, you'll see that Orville Mulligan episode pop up there too. To hear more Orville Mulligan episodes, you can find that at your favorite podcasters as well, Orville Mulligan Sports Writer, or on sportshistorynetwork.com or orvillemulligan.com. Now, we have some very talented people working on this Orville Mulligan project. As you heard the great writing and script by Oz Davis, and great editing and putting together with crowd noise and everything. And also, our actors they're off the charts. You heard the voice of Caedmon Holland, who is playing the part of FREDDIE CARSON, the radio announcer from our fictitious radio brand that we have, the station. And you're going to also hear more from Caedmon, and also our Orville Mulligan, our main character, who is played by Doug Fye. And you'll hear a little bit from DOOGS, played by Vernon Poitras. Some great actors, some great voices. We have a bunch of other ones that you'll hear through the episodes, but these are the three main folks that are going to be talking here and playing excerpts from that episode to help tell the story of this 1924 Notre Dame Army game. Like most of these big battles of great teams that we even see in our modern era, the teams sort of start off the game, sort of getting their footing, feeling each other out, trying to see what's going to work, what's not going to work, and trading blows back and forth, as we'll hear from our announcer, FREDDIE CARSON, as well as some insight from Orville Mulligan.
Quarter one was something of human table tennis, with Layden and Wood exchanging punts throughout. The horsemen repeatedly successful with gains on the ground and even a forward pass, but the steadfast cadets stifling ball carriers before yardage could be accumulated.
The cadets, along with the 50,000 plus here, have expected the usual fast-paced aerial game from this Notre Dame offense, but instead clever option plays and cross-blocking schemes are breaking this West Point front. And here's Miller with the handoff. He takes around the left flank. He's free, gains more, and it's stopped after a gain of 15 yards and another Notre Dame first down.
The tactics of the wily Rockney were starting to take form. After seemingly lulling the Army defense into near complacency until his own cavalry arrived in the form of well-rested Irish regulars.
Here's Stuldreher taking the snap. Heads directly into the line. No! He stops, pivots, and fires. It's stabbed by Jim Crowley for the catch, and Crowley gets a few more for a total gain of 12 yards, and Notre Dame is threatening deep in Army territory for the first time today.
Yes, indeed. Army was on the move, and they had quite a drive going, as Orville and Freddie were just discussing, telling us there from that radio play-by-play. But now came the big play that was going to break open this first half.
And he's in for the touchdown! Nothing was stopping Layden from plowing through the line on that play. 6-0 Notre Dame Fighting Irish with the lead.
From a reporting standpoint, the action was all in strategy. West Point's Ellinger, Darvish, Farwick, and their line mates indeed held steady and even drove forth their running game, but to little avail. This battle of immovable object versus immovable object was underpinned with the chess match contested between Newt Bockney and Jim McEwen, a junior in experience, but today proving equal in tactics.
And equal they were. These two teams not only were coached equally, but also the players were just equal. That 6-0 score stood up through halftime and well into the third quarter until some more great events happened. Just like college games today, there was college football games Saturday back then too, and there were some other big games happening as well. As I told you, we're going to hear a little bit from Doogs McDougall's character and some information that he got on another game going on.
Just got done talking to a United Press colleague in Illinois. He says Red Grange went for 4 touchdowns and 225 yards in the first quarter today.
Notre Dame could boast no one colossal superstar like Red Grange, but their Legion of 4 would ultimately pack more than sufficient punch on this day.
First the big gain round the right end by Crowley. Then Miller around to the left. And the West Point cadets are looking positively suspect on this drive, reeling from this grueling, difficult, four-headed monster of Notre Dame. And this time it's Crowley. Crowley takes the ball, breaks a tackle, and another! Crowley in the clear, and he'll go the full 20 yards for the score! Touchdown Notre Dame! And that silences a majority of this Polo Grounds crowd.
Even with Harding's fourth quarter touchdown for Army to stymie the shutout, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish buttressed convincingly their early calls for recognition as a tip-top flight program with a dominant performance. Regardless of this team's final fate in their crusade for a number one nod, we may be witnessing the first ever All-American backfield in action.
Well, Orville, you weren't too far off, because 3 of those 4 of the 4 horsemen did make the All-American team, first team, as Harry Stuhldreher, quarterback. We had Jim Crowley as halfback and Elmer Layden as fullback, Don Miller being the only one of those 4 of that tremendous backfield that did not make first team All-American. But you had a halfback by the name of Red Grange going crazy over there at Illinois. So that's part of the reason. And but just a very good backfield, and they worked in tandem together. Very hard to stop and very difficult to beat Notre Dame with those 4 horsemen. Like we just heard, that Army scored a final touchdown, kicked the extra point. Notre Dame hung on and won the game 13-7, ended up propelling them to go and play in the Rose Bowl. And we're going to talk about that in the month of December, because we have quite a bit of Rose Bowl coverage coming here the whole month of Rose Bowl history, and we have quite a few guests and historians that are going to come on and talk about that, and we're going to have a little bit more from our friends at Orville Mulligan. Some of the great excerpts we'll have from another episode covering the great Rose Bowl game that they have there, and so we won't ruin it for you. But that's what we have today. And that is our football history that happened October 18th, 1924, when the 4 horsemen and Notre Dame went to New York in the Polo Grounds and heard that roar of the crowd. This special edition is thanks to Orville Mulligan, sports writer, and our great acting team, FREDDIE CARSON, played by Caedmon Holland, Orville Mulligan, played by Doug Fye, and DOOGLE by Vernon Poitras. Also the excellent writing and putting together editing and sound of Oz Davis and his great imagination, and our whole Orville Mulligan team. You can find Orville Mulligan, sports writer, on your favorite podcaster, on Sports History Network, or on OrvilleMulligan.com. And like I said, I'm going to put this whole episode of the 4 Horsemen into the Pigskin Dispatch feed today, so that you're seeing that. You'll be able to hear the entire episode in its full length with the whole story that's going on in the background. And make sure you check out those other episodes, because this is really an up-and-coming great podcast drama, audio drama, that is really taking the nation by storm and telling another way of explaining and sharing not only football history, but sports history and American history as well. And we hope you enjoy them all, and we hope you'll join us back tomorrow for some more great sports history and football history. Till tomorrow, everybody, have a great Gridiron Day. That's all the football history we have today, folks. Join us back tomorrow for more of your football history. We invite you to check out our website, pigskindispatch.com, not only to see the daily football history, but to experience positive football with our many articles on the good people of the game, as well as our own football comic strip, Cleat Marks Comics. Pigskindispatch.com is also on social media outlets, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget the Pigskin Dispatch YouTube channel to get all of your positive football news and history. Special thanks to the talents of Mike and Gene Monroe, as well as Jason Neff, for letting us use their music during our podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hi, everybody. Dan and Andrew from Hello Old Sports here. We wanted to drop in and let you know about our latest episode.
That's right. We interviewed the co-authors of Phyllis George, Shattering the Ceiling, a biography of groundbreaking broadcaster Phyllis George. And her life is really sort of a journey through 20th century America, from Miss America pageants to the Kentucky State House to the groundbreaking NFL Today show on CBS. even the Kentucky Colonels of the old ABA. We got into all sorts of stories about the Celtics under Red Auerbach, about the interview with Roger Staubach, about really all sorts of things, a fight between Brent Musburger and Jimmy the Greek. We really enjoyed talking with Lenny Shulman and Paul Volpone, who teamed up to write this book.
The book is on sale right now, wherever books are sold. Within reason. Garage sales, probably not. So go ahead and pick up a copy today. And if you want a chance to win the book, you can go to sportshistorynetwork.com/giveaways and register for a chance to win. Goodbye, old sports.